In this video, I'll be going over the Magnificent 7 stocks and give you some price targets for Friday. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Tesla. We ended the day at 162.47. To the north side from where we are takes us to resistance and a potential take profit area at 167.47. The next level takes us to roughly 169.95. And at 4 standard deviations, 172.26. Note the gap that forms to the upside at 176.06. We are not in that channel, not in the zone yet, but something to be aware of. Now, to the south side, support takes us to 157.96. It is also a potential buy-in area. Below that, at another potential buy-in area and support, 155.58. A gap forms to the south side at 154.68, and this gap closes to the downside at 145.38. We are in a downward channel on the 5-minute time frame. Now, note this gap that I have been tracking right here finally closed. A touch point, let's say right about there, at 161.76. And now this gap is no longer a threat to our accounts to the downside. There are many other threats, however, but this one is done. We closed it out. The next one that I will be tracking is this big gapper. The next stock is NVDA. I want to say happy birthday to my friend Rachel, who lives on the East Coast. She's a professor and is into the stock market like I am, so it's fun talking to her about all the trades that we take. Now, we ended the day at 879.44, down 3.24%. To the north side from where we are takes us to resistance at 891.99. I know that Rachel has been in this trade and she likes to track NVIDIA. And my dad has been in this one as well. 922.29. And so has my neighbor and pretty much everyone I know except for me. Never got into NVIDIA. 937.07 and 952.31. To the south side, the middle of the trend and the baseline. Wait a second here. Rather, the baseline is right here. And that from where we are is resistance. -2 standard deviations takes us down to 862.25. This gap closes to the south side at 859.53. -3 standard deviations is roughly 847.29. A gap forms to the south side at 837.06, closes out at 823.02, and then this big whopper down here takes us to $790.17. We are not in that channel, not in the zone. We are still slowly going up on the 5-minute time frame. However, as you know, this can change on us very quickly. And also, when I talk about levels, there are many levels in between here. You can draw your trend lines, your Bollinger Bands, put on VWAP, play patterns, but I just like to use the standard deviations, and that's good enough for me. The next one I'm going to go over is Meta. We ended the day at 491.83. To the north side and resistance takes us to roughly 498.09. 505.79, 509.64, and 513.34. To the south side at -2 standard deviations and support and a potential buy-in area, 490.56, another potential buy-in area, 486.81, and 482.84. Note we are now at support, and this turns into, again, resistance. To the south side, there's a gap that will take us down to 468.19 that I have been tracking, and that gap began on the 22nd of February. Still a threat to our account, and then this one takes us down to this level at 460.11. We are not in the channel, not in the zone. something to be aware of down the road. It will come to haunt us later, but right now we are in a strong upward channel, making higher highs overall. Of course, check out the different time frames. They give you different buy and sell signals. And if you're doing long-term investing, you definitely want to take a look at the monthly time frame. And that's where I like to troll for some beaten down stocks and let it ride to the upside when the charts tell me to do so. Next one is Apple. I am into Apple heavy. I do have Tesla and heavily into Microsoft. First up, Apple here before I get to Microsoft. Ignore the horizontal lines. They are different support and resistance lines or sell lines or my buy-in lines. All right, to the north side, 174.30, 175.17, and 176.04. Apple is part of my gap and go trades that I do every weekend until the gaps close. But Apple is definitely in my last gap and go video that I made, if you want to check that out. So looking at the potential for the downside area here, support takes us to 172.57, and this is also the middle of the trend and the baseline where price always goes through before we get to the downside or as we go through to the upside, and that line constantly changes, so be aware of that. To the downside, 172.06 is one target I am tracking. This gap closing out at 179.29, 170.84, 169.95, and another level of support takes us to 169.08. Now looking at the gaps, this one formed today. We gapped up, so whenever we go back down, I will anticipate price to touch it and then possibly reverse. That remains to be seen. This gap is still in play that I talked about the following week, so that will take us to 175.01 on the upward side, and then above that, 179.61. Not in the channel, not in the zone. I just play between -2 and 2 standard deviations all day long. I don't expect any more than that. And if I get to the outer bands, those are signals to buy or sell if I'm just trading. The next one I want to go over. Oh, before I do, another gap here takes us down to 164.19. So if you're playing it very conservatively and you're waiting to get in because it's too overpriced, that's something that you might want to track. Note the bounce here at support, sell off at resistance, sell off at resistance, sell off at resistance, and the pattern repeats itself. Amazon, next one, 178.82. And I know that Rachel is into this one. Congratulations, Rachel, on this company for you. I know you've been in it for a long time and doing well with this because we have gone up over the years in general. Now, we ended the day at 178.82. And from where we are to here, this is resistance. So this is going to be grinding along here until either we go up or fall back down. But this is resistance. To the next level of resistance and a potential take profit area takes us to 180.26, 180.95, and 181.67. We are going up here. As you can see, the channel is going upward. And to the south side at support and a potential buy-in area, 177.45, 176.72, and 176.02. The 1-year price target on this one, oh wait, what happened? I can't, no, I can't scroll. But I do like to check out the 1-year price target, and that will help me also determine whether I want to get in or get out. Note the bounce here at support. This gap closed to we gapped up, so we closed it out to the downside right there at roughly 176.66, and then we bounced back up to resistance. Looking at the RSI, that's the 5 minute. We are turning up with plenty of room to the upside before we are oversold. And again, I just use RSI as support and resistance, and we are not at resistance for me. And on the daily, plenty of room to move to the upside before we get overextended. We are basically overextended here on the weekly time frame. And note, this area here would have been a buy signal for me. And that price range right around here, look at that right there, $80 and 81.68-ish, 146.99. So we are past that and heading upward. So very nice. And then, oops. All right. I've got a gnat that I'm trying to kill. I have plants all over me, and these things are terrible. Drives me batty. I do have some of those the tape that you use to attract the gnats, and then they get stuck on it, but obviously it's not killing them all. All right, RSI on the monthly, we're not even at, we are below 30. So this is definitely a buy signal for me on the monthly time frame, telling me that there is plenty of upside potential. And up here, this is resistance, and look what happens. Sold off at resistance all the way down to support. And that's how I just basically generically use RSI. Option R to reset. Next one is Google. I'll try to speed this up here. Oh, before I do, this is going to be a gap to the downside. Oops. I have my magnet turned on and it makes my chart wonky, so you cannot put it right on the line. All right, now let's talk about Google. We ended the day at 143.10. I put these coordinates in before the market ended, so I need to tweak that. To the north side, and resistance, 143.94, 144.56, 145.18. To the south side at support, 142.70. Another level of support, 141.43. 140.81, a gap forms to the south side at 140.44. This gap closes out at 139.83, but before we get there, we have to get to 140.18. RSI is turning up. And I've got a gap that I'm tracking right here that will take us down to 135.68, but right now we are in an upward channel and going strong, meaning higher highs. And this gap that I have been tracking closed out right here at 137.02. So I knew price would get to this point, and that is resistance from down here. And I knew that this would hit resistance, as I mentioned, and then fall at support, and that's what fall to support, and that's exactly what happened, grinding along here and then making our way back up to resistance, support. Okay, I just got that gnat. Oh gosh. I can't be having that thing blowing around all over my face when I'm trying to make a video. All right, that's it for Google. And finally, Microsoft. We are up 2.44%. The 1-year price target, 469.97. That would be just amazing. That's the 1-year price target there. Don't hold your breath. Set your stop limits. If you can't take it, like you can't take losing money, definitely put your stop limits on. All right, here we go. To the north side, 426.66, 431.48, 433.97, and 436.31. To the south side, 421.87, 419.45. This gap begins at 417.95. The next level I'm tracking would be 416.94, closing out at 415.72. To the south side, 407.69, closing out at 404.72. And that is it. That is a look at the Magnificent Seven stocks: Tesla, NVDA, Meta, Apple, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. If there is a stock that you would like me to go over, please let me know. And again, happy birthday, Rachel.